שמיים וארץ, אל יתן למות רגליך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל, יהוה שומרך, יהוה צילך, על יד ימינך. השמש לא יככה ויורח בלילה, יהוה ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, יהוה ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה יהוה צילך, על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה ויורח בלילה, יהוה ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, יהוה ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה הנה לא ינום ולא יישן שומר ישראל, יהוה שמרך, יהוה צילך, על יד ימינך. יומם השמש לא יככה ויורח בלילה, יהוה ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, יהוה ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Here we are, a little over 1 week into this new war with terrorists in the land of Israel. Excuse me as I get set here. Very, very tragic times we're living in. It's a time of war, and boy, can we sure feel it. You guys, this is a video that I don't particularly want to do, but I have to do. As a matter of fact, many of you know what I'm going through. Those that are regular viewers of this channel and other channels are very aware of what I've been going through the past 22 months, and aware of what's been posted online about me. And I've had to keep my mouth shut. I've been chomping at the bit, wanting to defend myself, and my counsel have not allowed me to do that. My counsel has been to keep my mouth shut, let them say what they're going to say. All right. And that's been very difficult for me, as many of you know who know me. I don't like to hold back. When I got something to say, I like to say it. And I'm not a liar. I don't lie about things. I don't support liars. So the three things that I don't like is a liar, or a hypocrite, a bully, and a thief. That's my top three right there. And it's because of my experiences in life. That's just what's happened. And so I'm not known as a liar. Many of you have met me personally, have spent time with me, have built relationships with me, and that I'm a truthful person. So I just want to say and go on record that everything that you hear me say on this video is 100% truthful, and I swear on it by Yahuwah's name. I had to get a little bit of counsel on how to do this, because I wasn't allowed to say this before, but I have to be very careful on things that I do say, because I don't want to defame anybody. That's not the intent. I'm not here to defame anyone. You can defame me all you want. I kind of even hope you double down, because it's only going to make my case stronger against you. And so for those of you who are watching this video, and you're looking for codes or a teaching from Jonathan, that's not this video, you guys. I'm essentially this is something that I have to do, right? One of the things that are valuable to me in my life, and something I've spent a lot of time investing in, is my reputation. And those of you that have spent time with me know that that's important to me. I don't like to be misrepresented. I don't like to be lied about, and I don't like to be provoked. And so, under counsel, I'm being released to say a few things, and I want to address a particular post that was made about me on Peter Micheal Martinez website, that is also being used by Darla and her proxies to further smear me. So the fact that I see these two camps yoking themselves, which is pretty ironic, because neither can stand the other. But because it's the old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's exactly what's going on here. And so I'm going to address that in this video. It is my right. And at the end of this, I'm going to be sharing some information as a warning to you, things that have been brought to my attention from an investigator for my case, because this guy's become now an accuser And it has said some really strong things in the words used in his 11-page assessment of Jonathan, which is full of misinformation, of lies, of embellishments. And we're going to examine every single word, because that's what's going to happen in court, Peter. Every single word you have to stand by that you posted publicly, and that's been shared through emails, because I've gotten all the metadata for that. I can see a paper trail, which is incredible. Clear smear campaign to try to hurt my reputation, which has cost me financially. If we look at the projections of how my school would have done if not Darla and yourself done what you have done, it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that can be easily proven. So not only is this about my reputation, it's also about my life, my livelihood, my survival. Because I've been on YouTube doing this and part of the Hebrew community, teaching for more than a decade, going on 13 years now. And so this is what I do. Like it or not, Jonathan is a public figure. And that has some value. And when you try to destroy that intentionally as a malicious act, you can be held liable for that. It's not a joke. Stealing of intellectual property or destroying intellectual property is a serious crime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to address Peter's assessment of Jonathan, which I've been, coached on how to do. I'm going to address each point in this and defend myself, because that's my right. And then after that presentation, I'm going to give you guys more information about what I've discovered about Peter, because here's the thing, you guys, everybody knows me and Peter were at each other over the calendar. And it goes back a few years, even before I went to Hawaii. I love the guy. I still do. And the fact that all of this has happened is, heartbreaking to me. I love them guys. I think they're, in essence, are good people. I think they're kind of warped in some of the things that they do. But in general, I like them. But this whole thing was not about the calendar, you guys. As you're going to see, I'm going to give you my testimony of how all this went down. So everybody knows that me and Darla split up. I was basically homeless in Hawaii for a few weeks on the beach. And Peter helped me leave Hawaii and offered for me to come to his property. And this is after we were doing like this for years over the calendar. Okay, so I didn't have any kind of personal issues with him. I didn't know about his history or anything like that. I just knew him as a persona from the internet. And so I was a little taken back that this was the one who was willing to come and help me, who happened to be my enemy, right, at the time. But I know Yahuwah works in mysterious ways, and I had seen some miracles there on the beach. Remember the whole story about the angel and the tree and the whole thing? It's the screensaver from my phone. So it's obviously a very, if I could show it, it's the screensaver on my phone. You see the tree in the sun? So that whole story there, Peter knows that story. And so I saw what his offer as a sign for Yahuwah to reconcile. And so I was very open to reconcile with Peter and agreed to put aside the calendar and any differences and respect for his property, because he was bringing me there. He was obviously helping. I was eternally grateful and still am to this day. This was a natural course of my progression to the point where I'm at today. So I'm grateful for that. And I also believe that it was all for a reason. I believe that Yahuwah was still teaching me something, because I'm hard-headed and I need to learn lessons. And so I kind of look at it as going from the fire, going from the pot straight to the fire with him. That's my takeaway. But initially, everything was good. They were very, very loving and respectful to me. Cooking meals for me and taking care of me, giving me a place to stay. All, by the way, where Peter had told me, Jonathan, we love you. We're here to rehabilitate you and get you back on track and helping you out and yada, yada, yada. You just stay here. Don't worry about Owen paying us any money. You just stack your coin and get back on your feet. His exact words, stack your coin. And that's the fact, Peter. You said those words to me. And so, and I'm saying that because there was money issues later that he's like, wants to spin and make it seem I'm paying for whatever. Didn't happen that way. You told me I was safe there with you. You offered to help me. You helped me build a new website because mine was stolen and destroyed by Darla. And I needed to get my school back going. But also needed to raise money for my legal issues because, though I was going to a divorce, the strategy of the person doing that to me was also to falsely accuse me and keep me in court fighting criminal charges as per she posted in 2018. So this was a plan. I don't care what evidence you think you might have. Only your narrative has been heard so far. The fact that I've had to fight this battle on two different fronts and that you joined with her is a low down dirty thing. That's treachery. But you and I started off really good. Spending every day together. You would come and over to the cabin, spend time with me, smoking cannabis together. Bonding. And so that's why this is so hurtful to me. Because you, more than anybody, Peter, know that I appreciated you. And I loved you for helping me. Where I drew the line was where after you made the website, you started using it to manipulate me. And only I, you, and the Most High know that's true. I realize that. But I stand on that, brother. May you strike me down if I'm telling a lie in any of my testimony. You used that website to manipulate me. And it didn't just happen one time or two times. It was three times. And the reason I allowed it to happen three times is because I wasn't going to bring it, one time, maybe that's a fluke. Two times, maybe that's a coincidence. But three times, no, that's a pattern. And I held my tongue. I didn't say nothing to you about it. I just did what I knew what you were inferring me to do, because the whole thing was I'm not going to harbor a thief. And your teaching was about tithing. Oh, I realized then that you want me to tithe to you. And lo and behold, after avoiding me for days and days on every platform, even on the phone, you don't respond to me until I tithe you. And then within minutes, you're calling me. Oh, what's the problem, Jonathan? And it's the same thing three times. Peter, you know that happened. I trusted you, and I trusted you. When I loaned you money, I told you it was a test of my trust. And as a demonstration of that trust, when I felt like I was being hacked, and I truly was, my Facebook was stolen from me. And this is how she found the car in Hawaii. You knew that happened, but you played on that and made me feel like the Darla was hacking me in other areas. So I gave you control of my YouTube channel for that fact. And within a couple of weeks, I realized it was you that was hacking me. The fact that you forced me to use shekel coin and shekel marked to get another computer, a new computer, supposed to be a new computer. You gave me a used computer. And the reason I know that is because I went to Best Buy and they checked it out and told me for unequivocally it was not bought brand new, that you gave me a used computer that you had wiped clean. That's why all the letters on the keyboard was very worn down. So the fact that you think I'm some kind of idiot and you could get away with that and then try to gaslight me later that you know I'm just paranoid is insulting to me. And at any point at that point, if you had just admitted what you had done and apologized to me, we could have mended this. But you doubled down. You started immediately coming against me and slandering me, because just like what Darla did. One day I'm the best thing since sliced bread, but once we become contentious, oh, now Jonathan is a pedophile, and Jonathan's this and Jonathan's that, and he's a filthy person. He lives like a tweaker. Really? Why wasn't you saying that the whole time? Why was it it was only when I did not come back to Arizona, up until the point I got control back of my YouTube channel, I held my tongue and we were on good terms. But as soon as I confront you, and it's all documented in the metadata, in the text messages back and forth. You know what it was like for me to hold my tongue? There's so many people, and we're talking about, you know, potentially thousands of people who have seen what you've done and what his daughter's done. But in this video, I'm just going to address you because I got the go ahead to be able to do that. So, you guys, I want to, you know, as hard as this is for me to do, because this is, you know, my mom seeing this. This hurt my mom seeing this from Peter Micheal Martinez. She knows me better than anybody. I don't know if I want to screenshot this, if I just want to read it. I'm going to do that and just address it. A ministry review of Jonathan M. Wright, the code search. The following witnesses: Peter Micheal Martinez, Jeff Persario, and Drew McPherson. By the way, guys, you're going to have to stand behind this in court. Every single word. So Jeff and Drew, I'm sorry, guys, but Peter's got you neck deep in something I don't think you want to be involved in. You're going to be sued. All three bear witness to this report and confirm the following findings to be a joint conclusion of the facts that we have witnessed concerning the subject, Jonathan Matthew Wright. And mind you, this come after the falling out and after I exposed Peter and told people that he smoked weed and he drank beer. And I've been in the car with him with those substances. By the way, for anybody that wants to see video, email me and let me know. You know, I won't slander and defame him, but I will share facts. Our review begins in the last week of January when our invitation to come to Arizona for recovery was accepted by Mr. Wright. Jonathan arrived from Hawaii and was given a place to rest with us as he was sorting his life after his breakup with Darla, his wife. Right? It's interesting he uses that word, right? He was accused in departure from Hawaii by Darla of being a pedophile. And this is really interesting and very important that we document this, because this shows that there was conversation and there was evidence that Darla's spreading that around. That's a false accusation. There's no charge for pedophilia or being an adulterer or being a sexual assaulter or anything like that. And there's no history of that anywhere on the internet or in any place in the real world. No, nowhere. And then he says, and these words are very intentional. They're meant to plant something in your mind because they like using these trigger words. We could not ascertain whether Jonathan was guilty of pedophilia. However, after thorough review and his own statements and before multiple witnesses, we have concluded that he indeed has committed adultery on several occasions and would have with, and he puts asterisks instead of naming the person. And by the way, every person that he's calling a witness here, except for Darla, are friends of mine still, and they don't stand behind his testimony in this. That's going to be a problem for you, Peter. And would have indeed committed adultery on several occasions, and would have if blank would have been willing. You're going to have to stand by that statement, Peter. In fact, we ascertained through his direct admission and testimony that the relationship with Darla was begun in adultery. Yeah, he was made aware of that. And I've said that since day one, that Darla pulled me into a marriage with her, being still married to another man. And I didn't know that until 30 days afterwards is when I found out. Peter knows this, but he infers differently. Darla was not divorced at the time of their Hebrew wedding, which is a euphemism for fornication. Additionally, Jonathan admits to having an affair with blank, but she refuses, and disconnected from him is when we became aware of him. Okay, and he's talking probably about Kailana, who is still a friend of mine, and does not stand by his statement here. His diagnosis of Jonathan, really interesting that he uses this as if he's in the position to diagnose someone. And he does, by the way, perceive himself as being over everyone else and have the power to do this. Acute need for deliverance from his multiple spirits. In prognosis, if Jonathan can receive and be delivered from these spirits, he can recover, but this will require serious and authentic humility that seems to be foreign to Jonathan. Really. I've always been very humble, especially on my channel. Anytime I've been wrong, I've come back and made that right and admitted what I was wrong. You, however, are never on record doing that. Matter of fact, you like to double down even in the face of solid scriptural evidence of an issue. You like to double down and present absolutely no scriptural evidence and just declare that you're right. Noted behavior, the following observation are clear indicators of the malformed character through childhood trauma and long life substance abuse. These strongholds have become acute. Really. So you're speaking as a doctor, as a medical expert here, huh? And publicize this. The very next thing, and what is this on page 3? He introduced blank to his new girlfriend as a 7-year student of his, and he stated that she was following his Codesearcher class for 7 years, and this was repeated over times that was false. Confirmed only 1 year and was not actually a student but a supporter. I don't know who exactly he's talking about here. I think he's talking about Wendy. But first of all, my school wasn't open for 7 years. I wasn't even with Darla for 7 years. So that's an outright lie and just made up. You're actually going to have to prove who this is and what this is. It's a false accusation. It's interesting to use that. You use that on the very next line. False accusation based on lies he believes to be true. On several occasions, Jonathan was convinced that someone hacked his account, but there was no evidence of any of this. Really, the fact that I lost my Facebook account and that Darla's phone number was tied to it was not evidence that my Facebook account. The fact that she found my car that was parked at a friend's house and she could only do that by going into my Facebook. Are you serious? That's a false accusation there. Of course, my account was hacked. Jonathan will tell you flattering words while he is in need of help, but when there's no longer when he no longer needs you, then he gets honest, and which is a form of narcissistic abuse. Really, because I confront you about your bullshit. No, the problem is I'm an alpha male, and the only thing that works in your paradigm and in your scams is beta males. That's why all the men that you have there on your property are followers of your little cult. And the fact that you brought another alpha male there, and it only took me about a month and a half to peep out your bullshit, is a problem for you. Embellishment to make a point was a common impression. Really, the spirit of anti-Messiah. I've spent many years on YouTube teaching about the Messiah and teaching Jewish people through the codes who the Messiah is. That's well on record, and anybody that's been with me a long period of time knows that. Now, for the last few years, I've spent a lot of time teaching the name and teaching the calendar. That is true. That is true, but that doesn't take away from my relationship with Yeshua at all. He goes into pride and entitled behavior, completely subjective, and some embellishment here. That's interesting that he uses the word embellishment talking about me. A guest found some drug paraphernalia in his drawer, crack or chemical pipe. He knows exactly what it was. And it was not something that was used at all. So he don't want to tell anybody that he smokes weed and that we were smoking weed together. But he wants to portray me as some kind of fiend out crackhead or something like that. Do I look like I'm on crack, by the way? Look at me. Do I look like I'm on meth? Have I ever looked like that other than when I lost all the weight? And obviously that had happened because I'm eating freaking fruit only for 4 weeks. Nobody else would testify to this, by the way. Not even my friend in Oregon or anywhere that I've been. Is this true? He goes into talking about DMT and ayahuasca, which, by the way, I never did either one on his property. This all happened in Hawaii when I was talking about plant medicine. We had conversations about it, and I told him that I had found codes on the words that were quite compelling to me, having a connection to the burning bush and to a place in Leviticus where the high priests are lighting the incense, and they go into a sealed room, and the whole thing fills with smoke, and then they inhale the smoke, and then they fall on the floor, and they have visions of Yahuwah. Yeah, we had conversations about this, and he was very intrigued in this, very interested in it. But never did he counsel me that Jonathan was doing something wrong. I was sharing my information with him, to not my experience, how it helped me psychologically let go of bitterness and anger that I had from my previous marriage. So yeah, we had these conversations. There's heavy alcohol consumption, which is really hypocritical that you would say that about. Yeah, I've been very open that I will drink a beverage with dinner. I'll have a couple of beers, but by no means have I ever been a heavy alcohol consumer or a drunkard. Yes, I have admitted using mushrooms and psychedelics. That's absolutely true. Describing my living conditions as a meth lab, nobody who knows me describes me that way. Ordered substances, actually, Peter, It's kind of messed up that you said that, because you know it was ordered on your card and it was delivered in your name. But you're going to accuse me of ordering substances? So this whole presentation that he's put on over here is sprinkled with a little bit of truth, but laced completely with a lot of, false information. Attempted sexual abuse of so-and-so was unsuccessful, and so-and-so terminated the relationship. I talked to that person that you're talking about, and they're appalled that that is the way you described that. They've never said anything like that. And again, you're going to be held accountable for this that you've published, because you're going to have to bring these people forward. Kailana nor Wendy share this. Do they agree with what you say? He uses the word sexually abused, trying to brand me, just like using the word pedophile, brand me with that word. There appears to be a pattern of gaslighting. He creates very turbulent relationships. Bring forward all these relationships. Really? You know what I was accused of before I decided I wanted to leave Darla, and she posted this publicly? I was accused of being therapeutic, of being around. I was accused of being kind and generous and loving. A great dad. You yourself, Peter, also said a lot of those things, especially after I gave you $5,000. You actually said to me, Jonathan, you're too honest with your supporters. You need to tone it down a little bit. You said those words to me. And that's when I realized that you are not willing to show any vulnerability or any humanity of yourself. And that's why I told people you smoke cannabis, and why I got it documented on film. Because I knew you were so shallow and so superficial as a genuine person with integrity and honor that you would never admit our relationship hung on one Bible verse, brother. And it convicts you. The wicked borrow and never return. The righteous are generous and gives much. I found a trail of victims going back years that you have scammed and you have taken money from. And this is before I knew it, as a victim myself, that they started coming out of the woodwork. And then, through a private investigator, other victims throughout the nation in other countries have come forward now, which is what I want to get into after we finish addressing your scathing assessment of Jonathan. And by the way, you're gonna be held accountable for every word, not only you, but Jeff and the other guy. You're gonna have to prove the things that you said. And right now, you don't have the witnesses that you think you have. The quotes and the accusations of those people will not stand in court. So this next portion of this video, you guys, is not malice. I've been very restrained. Many of you, thousands of you, have been witness to Jonathan being very restrained. Put yourself in my shoes. Would you be restrained as much as me if something was said about you? And let's presume that Jonathan is innocent, right? Put yourself in my shoes. Because I am innocent until proven guilty of any charge. And right now that charge is invasion of privacy, which is a 3rd degree Class C felony, not a 1st degree. Even that's been misrepresented. So I had all these people when I came forward about Peter and what he had done to me. And the following happened. Started contacting me. These are people that were left in the wake of Peter. Many of them were former supporters of his ministry. You may have seen, and if you haven't, I will make sure that there's a link down in the description below. But a woman who got involved in one of his scams, and we're going to look at all the scams he's been involved in. This particular scam was one of the more recent ones, where he was building cabins on his property. And if you guys go and look historically, there came a point in all that whole process where he started preaching against divorced women. There's a reason for that, because the #1 donor in that scam gave him a lot of money, and he didn't want to build her cabin. He got himself a new grill. Yeah, that can be proven, Peter. Where's the cabin? First of all, how did you pay for your teeth? Because in disclosure, you're going to have to disclose those financials. I don't care if you hide behind that 501c3 all you think you can. You're going to have to show the accounting. You got assets now that can be taken. I know that because I've seen it. I've seen the report. I've talked to the victims. I'm putting a list together of all of these victims who are going to be willing to testify and bring a clear, because all this happened, but way before I knew you, 2006, 2007, 2012, 13. And if it goes back that far and that many victims, then that means this is pretty common for you. And we're going to talk about some of the current scams that you're involved in that I guarantee are scams. If anybody, any third party independent person that does an audit of you and what you're doing is going to find criminal activity. You're scamming people, and there's trails of people behind you. Let's look at some. So, here's a report that was posted years ago about Peter Micheal Martinez and some of his businesses. Peter Micheal Martinez, Stephanie Martinez, that's one of his daughters. Peter Micheal Design contacted me for a mobile app. And by the way, there were many people, there were several people that got scammed on this one scam right here. It was for a mobile app that he didn't honor the contract. He missed deadlines and stole money. In this particular instance, it was for $6,700. All right, this is all him. All the information that's down below is all his information. Here's the actual testimony from this person. I placed an ad. They have a mobile app developed. Stephanie Martinez reached out to me and set up a call back with Peter Micheal Martinez. He then proceeded to con me into a deal where there was an app that was costing $13,400 to develop, and that he would split the cost with me from him. In return, he would get 50% of the profit. Then he sends me all the contracts over to my email, and I sign and he signed, and I sent my $6,700 to him by way of wire transfer. And he and Stephanie kept in contact up until the first deadline was missed. About 2 weeks after the first deadline was missed, they began with the excuses. And I've decided to give them a 1 month extension. which also missed back by more excuses. The final straw was when I called to get a refund, and he asked me for the $6,700 that he signed a contract to be responsible for. Wait a minute. The final straw is when I called to get a refund, and he asked me for the $6,700 that he signed. Oh, so he acted like he didn't get it. I didn't realize that early. That's interesting. Because when I gave him $5,000 and then confronted him later, after he told me 3 times that he was going to pay me back, oh, that was a donation. And then he changed it and said I bribed him. That was followed up by another excuse, and another client didn't pay him, and his baby was having heart issues. Not sure if any of this is true, as communication that ceased altogether. Sorry, you guys, I get dry mouth when I'm, doing all this talking. Was all his websites in this, and this is what the man says. Shame on you, sir, for your shady past and present. You, like all men, are not above the law and are not above the judgment of the God you claim to serve. So even then, he was hiding behind religion and scamming people. Okay. This is all his information. This is a letter from Peter. Okay, so he actually responded to this. All right. I'm going to post links to all this so you can see. But then there's also communication from attorneys in this, for the sake of time, because I've got a lot of information to share with you guys. I'm gonna kind of scroll through this. Now, there are dozens more just like this, and they're all different kinds of scams, different kinds of business ventures that Peter's been involved in over the years. And in every case, there's a falling out between somebody, and in every case, it's always about money. 5 reports right here on this one. On this particular one. This one was also about mobile apps. There's also a money machine that he was into. Peter Micheal Martinez, dirt bag piece of crap, scam artist, beware, took my money, Burnsville, Minnesota. This is all him. Personal instant cash, Peter Micheal Martinez. He also has an alias of Dale Douglas, by the way, this guy right here, which has been proven to be him. All right. But like I said, had somebody helping me, passing information. All of these are other victims, every single one of these. And so I'll pass a link to all of these reports for you guys, even going down to these. All the same thing. Every single one of them accused Peter of stealing money. And then Peter has a falling out with that person and accuses them of being a devil or a bully or a demon or something like that. In every case, Peter's the victim. So I started calling all of these people. And I'm currently putting all that together, but I want to share one of those conversations with you that I had just today with one of them. So if you will, just hang on for just a second. Let me get that queued up. And I'm going to share that with you. Down in the bottom will be a link to all of the claims from this guy. Every single one. And then I'm also going to show you my claim. I'm going to show you my PayPal statements. I'm going to show you his financial statements where he received the money and where that money went buying land. And then how after that he demonized me. He accused me of being a horrible person and yoked himself with Darla to compound the issues that I had with her, which is a low down, treacherous thing to do. he also did that. So hang tight. Here's the video that I recorded today. You may have to turn your audio up, you guys. I'm going to turn mine all for the sake of this, because he was on you know, he didn't have it to his face. He was talking on speakerphone. So here's what he said. This is a phone call to. Hello. May I speak to Chris, please? Chris, how you doing? This is Jonathan Wright. I emailed you the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I had to look up your number and see what time zone you were on, because we talked about talking at 12 o'clock. The reason why I'm calling you is because I have a case that I'm building right now against Peter Micheal Martinez, and between my lawyer and the investigator who is tracking down victims, I've discovered that there are dozens and dozens of victims all over the place who have filed complaints about Peter. And I'm trying to reach out to as many of those as I can. Would you mind giving me a little bit of backstory of your experience? And I did read the article that's online, but in your own words, could you kind of fill me in?
And it was a long time ago, so I'll do the best I can. But yeah, for the most part, I posted an ad that needed today. I wanted to develop an app, so I needed an app developer, and he contacted me and said he had an app development company and stuff like that. So I ended up sending him, I think, $8,000.
Yeah. So you never met him before this? You didn't know who he was?
The business, I looked up the business, everything looked good with the business and stuff.
Right.
And I sent him the down payment, and a couple of weeks went by, he sent me some screenshots, stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, supposedly everything, ran into a problem, and then he asked for more money, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then he said someone screwed him, so out of the money, so he couldn't do it. So then I got a lawyer involved, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So whatever came to that? Did you ever file did you file a lawsuit or anything like that?
Yeah, we filed a lawsuit, won the judgment, and then as far as I can remember, just lawyer just started looking for things to put liens on.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever got anything to put liens on, but
I think he did, because when I looked up, well, when I looked at the information the investigator provided with me, he does have a history where there was a lien put on him, and it was, I believe, around 2006.
I put 50,000. I think it was 50,000.
For 50,000?
Yeah, I think that we won the judgment because he didn't show up for 50,000, and the reason why we did 50,000 is because I took that money out of my 401k.
Yeah.
So pay him for that app. So we did, of course, lawyer fees and charge and stuff like that. And then what that money would have accrued over the next, however long, and then potential profits from the app as well.
Right. Yeah. See, and in my case, my lawyer is also doing something very similar, because I initially gave him $5,000, and my circumstances were different than yours, but he had promised me that he was going to give me that money back. He had also developed a website for me in which he was using that to manipulate me. He had me hacked. He was looking at all my emails. He locked me out of my website a couple of times, and wouldn't let me back in until I paid him money. He was extorting money from me. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a long story. I'm not going to go into it, but that's just some of the details. Well, I eventually called him on his bullshit publicly, because I'm a YouTuber and so is he. And we share some of the same community that watch both of our channels. Well, I went public and started exposing him and warning people that this guy is a snake. And, before I did that, this guy would slobber over me with compliments. Oh, yeah. Jonathan, you're just I love you, man. And da, 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 da. And And as soon as I have a falling out with him, his tone changed. He immediately started slandering me on the internet and posting things on his website. But that's the case I got against him now, is a lawsuit for defamation. He posted a lot of misinformation and lies about me, and he's going to pay for it. And we are also seeking to get a lien on him. He has 2 properties in Arizona, and that's what we're going after. So that's why I'm reaching out to you. Because I'm going to be putting together all this information for my attorney later. And so I have to make contact with as many people as I can, so we can establish a timeline. We can establish a pattern with this guy, because he hides behind religion, man. This guy parades as if he's some kind of righteous person. And I got to tell you, Chris, I have found more than 25 victims since I started working on this, all over the nation, and 2 in other countries, where he did the very same thing. He ripped people off and then turned it into something where it was hostile.
I also filed well, I think it was a joint lawsuit against him and his daughter, because his daughter was involved with it too.
Stephanie Martinez.
Yes.
Yeah.
She would be like the point of contact, and then all of a sudden, like I said, she would make up excuses, and I don't know what he's doing. I'm trying to get a hold of, can't get a hold of him. That went on for weeks, and I said, you know what, you guys got 1 week, and we filed a lawsuit, and they didn't hear nothing back. They changed the numbers and everything, so I went ahead and filed a lawsuit.
Yeah, he I don't know where he was when he was dealing with you. I don't know if he was in Arizona. Minnesota. See,
and I got lucky because I posted an ad for a web or a app developer. He answered that ad, but I live in Texas. So because he solicited me here in Texas, we got to take him to court here instead of having to take him to court in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's going to be going to court in Miami, because that's where I'm filing my lawsuit. So he's going to be forced to have to appear there. And I got some cheeky, right. I got some cheeky, very powerful Jewish lawyers that I passed some video clips to them, where he talks about the synagogue of Satan and the Jews are the fake Jews and yada yada yada. Well, now he's got a pissed off Jewish lawyer that's on his ass. So I'm going to take him down, and I believe that's why this happened to me, because
either I never seen one penny. I just chalked it up as a loss, and I said, you know what, like these kind of people get dealt with by,
Yeah, you're right. And I can't believe he has the audacity to get on camera and portray himself the way he does, after what he's done to people.
Don't quote me on this, but we tried to put a lien on the church as well, and I think my lawyer had him served at church.
Yeah,
because I couldn't find him anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, he's now down in Arizona in the southeast corner, very close. He's like 50 miles from the border of Mexico, which kind of because
that either I never seen one penny. I just chalked it up as a loss, and I said, you know what, like these kind of people get dealt with by,
Yeah, you're right. And I can't believe he has the audacity to get on camera and portray himself the way he does, after what he's done to people.
Don't quote me on this, but we tried to put a lien on the church as well, and I think my lawyer had him served at church.
Yeah,
because I couldn't find him anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, he's now down in Arizona in the southeast corner, very close. He's like 50 miles from the border of Mexico, which kind of suspicious to me. It almost looks like he's setting himself up to run across the border if anybody come after him. Really?
I said, I don't know how he's acquiring anything with the liens and all the lawsuits.
Well, he sets up, through other people, but he reinvents himself. Different companies, LLC, all those things. He compartmentalizes and gets around that. This guy's very clever, very clever.
I chalked it up as a loss, as an expensive learning experience.
So what God was saying right there, and I'm sorry that I pulled it back. That was an accident, but it actually probably needed to be heard twice. What he was saying right there, that, you know, even though he got the judgment and, you know, Peter fled to somewhere else, he didn't push it too much because he just chalked it up to a lesson learned. And that's kind of been typical with a lot of people that I've talked to, even though they had him by the balls, got him in court. He was dead in the wrong. He's slipped away in a lot of cases. He has had judgments against him, as we're going to see here. I got some other documentation here where there were liens put against him, federal and state liens put against him for, you know, his activity. So this guy, the fact that he gets on camera, dresses in white garments and portrays himself as some Moses figure, is very reminiscent to the David Koresh of that time. This is clearly a cult leader, you know, wanting to get people to come move out to the desert with him so he can lord over them and manipulate them. And he's definitely a manipulator, guys. No question about it. No question about it. And I stand by that. So I challenge you, bring a countersuit, buddy. I challenge you. You're going to have to stand by every word you said. You're going to have to prove that what you said was accurate. And you're not going to be able to do it. And I'm going to get a judgment from you. And I say that with confidence. Just like these other people got a judgment on you, I'm not going to back down on this. You forced me to fight a 2-front war with my ex and with you. And that was low down and dirty for you to do that. All because of your ego, because you couldn't admit you were wrong. That's what it comes down to. So let's see where I want to go from here. Okay, let's go here. Let's go and prove what I said 2 years ago is actually accurate. Okay, so the situation was, I was on his property. He was trying to do a deal for the property next to his property, and he was in escrow. And he had built me a website and was privy to the emails coming in through that website. He controlled everything. He was the admin there. Well, when I started doing the names searches for donation and told people I needed help with, you know, legal issues, my biggest donor, who has always been with me and still with me to this day, sent me $5,000. And I sat on that for a couple of days, and with Peter coming to my cabin every day with this sob story that he had to come up with $8,000 before the end of the week. And so me, being the generous person that I am, and that's pretty much on record, Peter, you know that to be true. People know that about me, that I am kind and generous and loving. And you come with me with this sob story that you needed this money. And I tell you, I have money that's come in from my attorney, and I'm willing to help you, but I need to have this money back because it's got to go to the attorney. And you told me 3 times that you're going to pay that money back. And then when we had the falling out, that's when you told everybody it was a donation and it was actually Jonathan trying to bribe you. You know good and well that you misrepresented me in the statements you made about me. You know you did. And I'm going to hold you accountable for that. Because you and I both know, and so does Yahuwah know, that's not an accurate portraying of Jonathan. You were mad because I threatened to expose you and your bullshit. So here is evidence, you guys. that in and around that time where he developed my website, on 4/18/2022, you can see I gave Remnant House $5,000 in a donation. And you can look at Peter's financials over here on his assets. Look at the date. Sale amount. He was in escrow that closed April 19th. It was recorded. For the properties that he's got there in Arizona. April 19th. When did I give him money? When was it? April 18th. Really? It was a donation, Peter? There's 5 witnesses that I have that know that this was a loan. It was never a donation, and it was never a bribe. But you lied about that, and you told people it was. And what does the Bible say? The wicked borrow money and never repay, but the righteous are generous and give abundantly. You took advantage of me. You know you did. And then you write this article about me to discredit me. You're going to pay for that. Not only am I going to get my $5,000 back, but I'm going to get the damages you incurred on me. And look, here's the warning that I want to put out for people right now. Because he's currently running a couple of scams. One is this shekel mark bullshit, where he's convinced people to buy this worthless ass crypto that he wants you to use on his New Kingdom site. And by the way, this money is not guaranteed. I know, because they're victims of this crypto scam that have come to me that said that they tried to cash out and this asshole would not let them cash out. They're stuck with worthless crypto. And if there's anybody new to this scam, please email me so that we can add you to the list. The other thing is this New Kingdom energy. Hang tight. Let me pull that up. If you've seen this picture, and I know this has been passed around, but if you do a reverse image search on the internet, you'll see exactly where this came from. How many of you have seen this? Let me blow this up a little bit. How many of you guys seen this? Where he implies that he has a device that looks like this. It's got his name on it. That it pushes out 10 kilowatts, which is basically a generator. And he sold you on this idea that he's got this invention of his and he needs investors. Does all this sound familiar? Any of the testimony that you just saw from other people? Because it's the same story, different people, different time. There is no such product that looks like this. I've seen it firsthand. It don't look nothing like this. Do a reverse image search of this right here, and you will see this is a Pelican box, toolbox, and it's an advertisement for Pelican. But Peter, in a deceptive way that he is, wants you to believe this is a product that he's developing from your investments. Don't get involved in this. It's bullshit. You will never, ever, ever, ever see a return on your money. Ever. And you will never see a product. You will be another victim, just like these dozens of others that I've found, that will never see your money again. I will never get involved with a person like this ever again. What this did, it taught me a lesson. You know, it taught me, just like the Chris said, this taught me a valuable lesson. Cost me $5,000 plus, you know, about $200,000 in revenues from my school and my reputation. It's cost me to learn this lesson about who you let into your circle of trust. Treacherous dealers will deal treacherously. And that's who you are, Peter. And what's really sad is, you know, I'm telling you the truth. You know, I'm telling these people the truth. And you still double down. You still double down like you're the righteous one. You've made some bold accusations, and you yoked yourself with Darla on lies. I don't care what kind of evidence supposedly there's against me. It's circumstantial. And my side of the story has not been told yet. Invasion of privacy, not child molestation, not pedophilia, not sexual abuse. There are no words like that used in it, in the indictment. You're going to be held accountable, and all the proxies too, you guys. So that's what I have to say. That's all I'm going to say on this. I didn't go into the whole document that he put out. He knows what he put out, and all of you do too. I'm not going to dignify him or what he said by putting it on my channel, but I am going to give you just enough so that you know I'm coming for you. When I'm done with Darla and what she did to me, you and I are going to dance. Shalom.